Traders, welcome back to the channel. We're going over a few stocks that I see having movement going into the first week of October. Now, if you stuck around for September, it was pretty bloody overall. However, I do think the market has room to pick back up. We have the infrastructure bill coming into place. We also have the debt ceiling potentially being raised. It's a pretty big back and forth between the Dems and the Republicans. That's pretty big right there as a whole. So I will be going over indexes as well in this video. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible, but let's break down these stocks to the best of our ability. Also, there are now some Discord spots now available. The link is down in the bio. Follow on Twitter for daily updates, absolutely free and everything like that. Like, subscribe, do what you gotta do. Let's get to it.
I got no drip in my pocket. Must have forgot it, or maybe
All right, so before we get into any of the actual plays and stocks or things like that, I do want to just cover the NASDAQ. Now, a lot of people look at the SPY. The NASDAQ is typically my bread and butter. That's what I focus the majority of my time and energy on. NASDAQ will tend to follow the Dow as well, and they typically will lead each other. As of right now, I do believe the Dow has been leading the market, but I think the NASDAQ is showing a clear trend in my opinion. If you zoom out, you can see over the past 3 months. The third month, this was about July, beginning of July. This is the July open. We had a nice solid bounce right there, finding support and then bouncing back up. Now, do I believe we're out of the woodworks? The answer to that question is actually going to be no. I don't believe that we are soul free and we're going to continue back up to the upside going to the end of the year. I don't think that that is guaranteed or anything like that. However, I do believe you found somewhat of a support. I believe a lot of the worst news is kind of over. The only bad news that could potentially play out for more downside is if the debt ceiling does not get raised, which that is definitely a possibility at this time. I think you're going to have to very much be monitoring your trades getting in and out. That's what I'm doing personally, but I definitely see the potential upside in the market. And a lot of people are asking, well, why don't you play too many puts? Well, right now, I'm not betting against the market yet. I just don't believe we're in the recession type level yet. And I don't think I'm pushed to that point of concern. I will play puts occasionally, but I don't think you need to change or bet against the trend of the overall market. I think that's really hurt a lot of people. And if you look over the past year, betting on the market and betting to the bull side has made you more money than betting against it. I know September was a rough month, but I can't change my thesis until my overall thesis on the whole economy does shift. I do think we're coming into a recession type period. However, I want to point out that I don't think we're there yet, and I still think we have more legroom to continue up. So now before I continue into the rest of the stocks and things that I'm looking at going into this week and potential upside, I want to make it very clear that there is room to go down. I made it very clear going over the NASDAQ right there, but I want it to be abundantly clear that nothing is a sure bet. And I do feel very confident on some of these plays I'm going to mention, and I'm kind of playing things with strong fundamentals. So even if the market does dip, there's limited downside, at least until my knowledge that there will be limited downside, because anything can just start falling off a cliff. You have to come to that realization. But that's really what I'm doing right now. I'm trading safely, but I'm also betting on the market, if that makes sense. I don't want to switch my thesis yet and betting to the bear side because, again, I don't believe we're in a bearish market yet. Yes, we had a pullback, but in my opinion, there's still room to go back up, especially ending the year right now. I just don't see the pullback happening yet. January, things will start to change, but as of right now, that's my viewpoint on the market. Let's look at these stocks. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is actually going to be Activision, and this is something that I traded multiple times throughout the week. I had one put on it, and then I actually traded 2 calls on it. The 2 calls made me money. The one put I had to cut pretty early. Now, looking at Activision, as we zoom out, you can see definitely holding that bottom support down there and bouncing back up. But one thing that's going to be interesting is even when the market was on the downside this week, and I'm actually going to come out to about the 15 minutes so you can see better intraday charting. Even when the market was bearish throughout the week and you had some downside on the NASDAQ, Activision remained on the upside. You remained above the VWAP and trending back towards that $80 range. Now, if you're looking at options, there's over 26,000 options right now sitting at the $80 strike, which I believe those will end up being hedged for most likely this week if we remain on the upside. And I don't see too much pushing us down. If you don't know, Activision was going through a lot of legal issues based on their workers and just the work environment. They actually had a settlement there, so that has been completely resolved. So I think there's nothing but upside here. They have new releases, things like that. I think Activision's in a very good position. to continue back to the upside going to the end of the year, especially with the holiday season coming up right now. Personally, if I'm looking at this, I like October 15th. I know it's only 2 weeks out. Those $80, even 85s are pretty juicy. You can go further into November if you want to have more comfort. But in my opinion, Activision has room to go up. And I'm really just targeting the $82 to $83 range in the short next week and a half, give or take. Now, you might not get that immediate push straight up like that. However, I will say if the NASDAQ does start turning bullish, in my opinion, you're just sitting at that range now, which you're already double topping. And in my opinion, I don't think you're going to get pushed too far down. You might touch that monthly level again and then start bouncing straight back up towards that $80 range. If you get a monthly touch, I love the buying opportunity there. Personally, I think the risk is pretty low. You have stops just directly underneath it just to kind of see how it plays out. Definitely watching to see if those candles actually hold beneath that level. But in my opinion, Activision's a really solid play. And like I said, even with the downside on this week, you see how it just continued trending to the upside the whole entire time. Yeah, you had some pullbacks, but they were very minor when you're looking at the whole market. Some stocks were pulling back heavily. Activision kept trending to the upside. The next one's going to be PROG. Now, you're not going to see me go over too many pennies, things like that. However, what I will say is that the short interest is getting pretty crazy here, and you're also not going to hear me talk about the short interest or short squeeze stocks or things like that. However, what I am doing is monitoring a lot of these stocks that are on Twitter, a lot of the hype and things like that. I definitely think PROG can definitely start to get some momentum. I do have this trend marked out here. In my opinion, I think you have to start mounting this resistance right here, getting a push above and then mounting that level about $2.10, $2.15. Trending there has me looking to get into the stock. I'm not forcing anything here. It's the same thing with BBIG and some of these other plays if you're watching inside the Discord and things like that. I'm waiting for them to make the break, and then you want to get into them. You don't want to force your hand too early because that could just cause unnecessary losses. The next one we're going to look at is going to be CEI. This is obviously one of the huge Twitter plays. Now I'm going to go to a shorter time frame so you can look. When I personally got into this one, it was at about 75, 76 cents. And then I ended up selling, unfortunately, at like 175 up here. I made my money, made a good amount. I just never ended up getting back in. I did mark into the Discord saying it's probably going to start popping once again and ended up going absolutely ballistic. But I want to mention right now, I actually think there's potentially more upside here. You are sitting inside of somewhat of a bear flag. I will say that you are getting a bear flag, but I do think you're going to start breaking out of this back to the upside. Shorts are heavily into this thing at around $2. They're sitting really bleeding right now. More shorts started stacking in around the $4 mark. You are being held down, but I definitely think this thing could start running. A lot of guys on Twitter are comparing this to something like Fuel Cell back in the day. If you were trading Fuel Cell in the beginning of the year or followed me in the beginning of the year, you know we made an absolute killing going into the beginning of this year. You were sitting at 33 cents, and over the next 6 months, you ran all the way up to about $30. I'm not saying CEI pushes that high, but it has more room, in my opinion. I get it's looking parabolic, things like that. And a lot of big wills are controlling this. So that's why I took profits, because I know the level this thing can drop. If it dropped $2 from $5, imagine what it could have dropped from 178. I had to be conservative and take my win there. But I do like the opportunity here on CEI. I love the pullback. And I think this bear flag could definitely be faking people out, so keep it on your radar. Now, I'm not going to go over Merck because I've already done that stock, and I know you guys already know my thesis there. I'm going to be covering more on those guys very soon, or Merck, M-E-R-C-K, yes. And then ticker symbol MRK is the actual ticker. But what we're actually going to do is cover one more stock that I am liking. All right, so the last stock we're going to look at is actually going to be ticker symbol CAT, Caterpillar. You've heard me mention these guys quite a bit. You're going to get pushed back down to that VWAP. Really great retest that you're seeing right now. I definitely think it can start pushing to 198, potentially even higher. The real fundamental viewpoint here is going to be the infrastructure bill, which I do believe is going to get passed. So this is going to be a very short-term target. But in my opinion, this is stair-stepping back up. You had your push here, your one leg two. And now you're making that third leg back to the upside. This is something you love to see. Top side, I definitely see 207, possibly 210. If you have options to this, that would absolutely make you a killing. These are just stocks that I really like right now that I think have limited downside. Now, if by some miracle of a chance the infrastructure bill does not get passed, this thing will take an absolute beating. So you have to know the risk right there. But I do want to point you out to what happened the last time you had some type of infrastructure going on here. The last time infrastructure was mentioned and we had, passing the Senate, you pushed all the way from 208 all the way to around 225, 223, literally within the next 48 hours. So keep that in the back of your mind. You're seeing great pushes, great legs there. But just know that there is potential for downside. However, I want to mention right now, I see this being a 1, 2, 3 back to the upside, testing that local level up there, 207 on the minimum, 210 on the higher side there. That's what I like there. Minimum downside when comparing other stocks, just based on the current situation of the markets. And it's also had such a nice pullback from those local highs at the 240 range. That's what you love to see. You love getting into opportunities that have a limited downside. I like it a lot. All right, so definitely a longer video. I like to throw in any of the cheaper stocks that I do like, CEI, PROG. Those are definitely high upside, risky positions. I will mention and add that in there. If I'm going with the safer bets, I like Activision, and I also like ticker symbol CAT, Caterpillar. Obviously, I do love ticker symbol MRK, Merck, whatever it may be. Pill form for the COVID pill. That's going to be great. I will have more videos coming out about them, more updates coming every single day. I'm going to try to put more videos out every single day as well, possibly 2 a day. We'll see what I can do. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Again, more Discord spots available if you want them. They are filling up very quickly, so make sure. I don't know when the next time we're going to drop more. But the one thing I do know, boys, is this. We run the market.
But I'm about to take off like a rocket. Houston, we might have a problem, but that don't mean money.